Brian, are we on?
Hi, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Can we call this meeting to order and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to turn this workshop agenda over to Dr. Ayani.
Thank you, Ms. Kowalski, and good evening, everybody. We're going to start this meeting by bringing to the podium Mr. Firmino for the first presentation. I know that the Vernon students have been working very hard, and I know you have a presentation for us, so please join us at the podium. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Yanni, Dr. Mahal, Mr. Cipriani, and the Oyster Bay East Norwich community. Our director, Ms. Terry-Ann Chapardi, vocal director, Mr. Michael Lamandola, assistant director, Ms. Ginny Kemp, artistic director, Ms. Lauren Zabo, and the Vernon students have been working very hard getting ready for the Vernon School's Magical Musical Review, a musical review based on Disney songs. Like our high school production, our Vernon production will be live streamed. Tickets are now on sale. You can find the link on the Vernon School website. Performances are May 14th for the Gold Cast and May 15th for the Purple Cast at 7 p.m. Now, I would like to play a short video previewing the musical review.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be back with you, although virtually, to present yet another musical from the Oyster Bay East Norwich School District. The Vernon School very proudly presents a magical musical review. Due to social distancing and keeping everyone safe, the students are so excited to perform for you this year virtually from Oyster Bay High School. Here's a sneak peek of all the hard work and show that we have ahead.
So I will be giving Dr. Mulhall a link and the complimentary code for you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femino, for the presentation, and thank you to all the students and the teachers there. I know they've been working very hard, so looking forward to see the show. Thank you, everybody. Month of April has been a good month, and just the beginning of May brought so much pride to our schools. We are proud to report that Oyster Bay High School has been ranked as one of the best high schools in the entire nation by the U.S. News and World Report. So that's an amazing accomplishment. This is the second one in 2 weeks. They ranked approximately 18,000 high schools throughout the entire country, and Oyster Bay was in the top 1,000 together with 13 schools on Long Island. So that's quite impressive. And when you look at the methodology that they used, is the same pretty much variables that we've been looking at and the board has been looking at for many years. College readiness, AP, advanced placement exams, math and reading proficiency, a state assessment, and graduation rate. Those are key numbers. We are extremely proud. I'm very proud. Obviously, this is work that you have done even before I came, but I'm proud to be part of this group and the outstanding work. So please, everybody, a round of applause. I also want to congratulate Brianna Bowe, who was awarded Best Use of International System Units at the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair for our work in attempting to create, and I have to read this because this is intense, a scientific standard for nitrate pollution and quantifying the concentration of bacteria required to treat contaminated groundwater. It was impressive, and it was clearly, you could see how excited she was. We went up there on the third floor in the science lab, and Mr. Quaro was there, which I thank him for all the work that he has done, encouraging her. But the excitement that she had explaining, Ms. Sharon Lasher was there, Dr. Moore was there, and Dr. Ostroff. She was so excited to talk about it that I didn't understand half of the things that she was saying, but she knew exactly what she was talking about. Very proud. Friday has been lighted up blue to support, bring awareness of autism, and looking at the district and the support shown, it's nice to see how the community comes together. And the students are wearing all blue, wearing the T-shirts. It was quite nice. American Sign Language, you probably saw in the video on the website. I know that Mr. Cohen, you were also part of it. Learning the song, the Hall of Fame, Ms. Sizia and the student in our class put together the video, received tremendous support, and I want to thank all the students for supporting one another. The last week, 2 weeks ago, we had legislator Josh Lafazan, always very supportive of our school. He's always here to present an award to the Newsday Top 25 athlete in their sports. And there was Nicholas Terduno, Gabby Treble, and Greta Flanagan. Outstanding work that they have done. Graduation update. We have Ms. Lasher has been working very hard with our team. We've been going back and forth on text and emails and phone calls all hours of the day. But I'm very proud to let the parents know they are listening, that we will have, this year, we will have one ceremony. It's going to be in the front of the school, the traditional way. It's going to be a parade right after. I know that started last year, and it was a wonderful tradition that is going to go for many years to come. Each one will have 2 guests, and the other beautiful thing is that we're going to have a prom, and the prom is going to have all the senior class together. They can dance, and they can bring 1 guest. I think this will make our seniors very happy. They deserve that and more, and we're very proud of how they're handling themselves every single day. They really make the school special, and they set the tone for all the other grades. So very happy for the senior, and I cannot thank enough our principal, Ms. Lasher, for all the work that she has done to give them a normal ending to this 2 years of intense 2 years, let's say. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank all my teachers for their support during this uncertain time and for all they do for our students every single day. You make the school the way it is. You make the school be normal because of you, because what you did, what you're doing every single day. The board recognizes that, and the board appreciates all the work that you do. We are one of the few schools on Long Island, and people call me all the time, and I say, I wish I could give you a recipe for what these people are doing, but it's because of you every single day what you do, and we appreciate your work, and we appreciate what you do for our kids. That's the most important thing. So I want to give everybody a round of applause for the work. I remember when I got married. I remember when I had my first child and my second child, and I remember when I got tenure the first time as a teacher. That's how important tenure was for me, and I'm sure it is for you. Tonight is a special night because we celebrate your accomplishment of receiving tenures. A lot of you are here. I know it's not a normal setting, but we are getting there little by little. But we have the streaming, which makes people feel connected somehow. And I know that with this pandemic, a lot of things that changed. So much has changed, but I think it's important for me to say a few words about each one of you. And I have a little present that we give to all the tenure teachers when they receive tenure that you can bring with you. I still remember my tenure present that I have from many years ago. And that's, again, an indication of how much we respect what you do and how much, sure the family is listening at home, how much you sacrifice in your personal life to make sure that you do all the things that you have to do to make, to present to the students and be role model and do the work for them, to do the work so you can inspire them every single day. So I'm going to read a little bit about every single one of you, and then we'll take a picture every time at the end of each one. I'm going to move these 2 tables because they don't want it to be in the picture. I just noticed that. And then we'll go with that. The pictures are going to go in the living room, so I'm going to show you. Like that. Going to be in the front center, right? All right. So I'm going to put my mask on so when you come up, we socially distant. So Kim Romeo, Kim, you want to come up? You want to come up? We're going to have a few words, so you can stand over here and then we take a picture. Kim Romeo, Kim and Dan, right? They received tenure in December, but we didn't have the celebration then, so we started with you. She's Kim. She's a special education teacher at Vernon School. She works diligently to maintain and create a support, warm and welcoming learning environment for students. Over the years, she has developed an environment that is based on trust and respect. When I asked your supervisor about, they said it's a pleasure for me to recommend Ms. Kim Romeo for tenure as a special education teacher here in Oyster Bay. Ms. Romeo is flexible, dedicated, reflective educator who embraces changes and welcome opportunities for learning and growth. Congratulations, Kim, on this milestone in your professional journey. We wish you many years of success here at Oyster Bay. Dan Gatto. Dan is a district-wide behavioral analyst. Dan is extremely thoughtful in his development of schedules, reports, training, and presentation. He creates a warm, nurturing environment for students, enabling them to be successful. When I asked his administrative team about Mr. Gatto, these are some of the response that I received. Mr. Gatto is a well-respected member of our special education staff. He's extremely responsive to all our behavioral needs in the high school and offers tremendous support to the teachers and families of our most challenging students. It is a pleasure to recommend Mr. Gatto for tenure in the Oyster Bay Central School District, East Norwich Central School District. Congratulations, Dan, on receiving tenure, and wish you many years of success. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Dr. Fahy. Dr. Fahy, she's an English teacher at Oyster Bay High School. She engages our students and helps cultivate a rigorous culture of care, respect, and trust. When I asked our colleagues, Dr. Fahy is a valued member of our faculty. She's an outstanding English teacher who is well respected by teachers, administrators, students, and their families. She sets the bar high for our students and works diligently with them to ensure rigor and relevance in all of our classes. In our 4 years at Oyster Bay High School, Dr. Fahy has made tremendous contribution to the English department, and she's responsible for designing and teaching college English with Stony Brook University. Very proud of that. It is with tremendous pride that I recommend Dr. Fahy for tenure as an English teacher at Oyster Bay High School. Wish you many years of success over here with us. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Brenda Murphy. Brenda. Brenda is a music teacher at Theodore Roosevelt Elementary School. She has worked hard to connect music to other areas of the curriculum. In our classroom, music is also used to support students on the academic, emotional, and behavioral level. Ms. Murphy is using technology to investigate sounds, create melodies, and just appreciate the beauty of music. When I asked our supervisor about Ms. Murphy, they said, over the course of the past 4 years, Ms. Murphy has served as a model educator who has positioned herself as an invaluable member of the Fine and Performing Arts Department and the Theodore Roosevelt faculty. She has demonstrated her dedication to our students and our commitment to our craft by exercising reflective practice of growth. It is without reservation that I recommend Ms. Brenda Murphy for tenure. Congratulations. Wish you many years of success.
Congratulations.
Victoria Wink. Victoria, she's a physical education teacher at the high school. Ms. Wink creates student-driven lessons that are engaging, fun, and based on high expectation for all students. She provides detailed feedback to our students and always encourages them to improve their work while maintaining professional communication with all. When I asked about Ms. Wink, our administrator said, over the course of the past 4 years, Ms. Wink has shown herself to be an invaluable member of the Oyster Bay learning community. Our work does not end with or start with the school day. It goes before and after that. She's always around coaching students before and after school. She's there for them, and the students know that. It is with tremendous pride that I recommend Ms. Victoria Wing for tenure. Congratulations. Wish you many years of success here at Oyster Bay, East Norwich Central School District.
Congratulations.
Karina Alteri. Karina is a member of the mathematics department at Oyster Bay High School. Visiting our classroom, it was evident during the visit that she's utilizing classroom management strategy that provides students with an appropriate learning environment. Ms. Alteri engages our students in establishing criteria for success and incorporates a variety of assessment tools to provide meaningful feedback to students, and that was quite impressive. When I asked our supervisor about Ms. Alteri, they said Ms. Alteri is an outstanding member of our faculty. In her 4 years at Oyster Bay High School, she has demonstrated a strong content knowledge and the ability to use a repertoire of instructional strategies to enhance student learning. As a math teacher, I enjoy being in your class. I miss that once in a while. She has utilized technology, student-centered activities, and classroom discourse to engage our students in meaningful work. It is without hesitation that I recommend Karina Alteri for tenure as a mathematics teacher at Oyster Bay High School. Congratulations. Wish you many years of success with us over here at Oyster Bay.
Congratulations.
Jenny Alvarado. Jenny is a Spanish teacher and ENL teacher at Oyster Bay High School. I was impressed to learn how Ms. Alvarado takes time to get to know the students personally. I know as an immigrant how much it means to them, and I appreciate that, all that work that you do. Ms. Alvarado coordinates with other teachers, and over the years, she has become an integral part of the high school via her participation in many different aspects of the school community. When I asked your supervisor, he said that she is a dedicated and professional educator who cares deeply about the students and enjoys being with them. This authenticity is clearly conveyed to our students, enabling her to build trust and productive relationship with them. It is my pleasure to recommend Ms. Alvarado for tenure as a teacher in Oyster Bay Central School District. Congratulations. Wish you many years of success.
Congratulations.
So again, congratulations to all of you. I know that maybe we can take one picture all together, and then maybe after that, I know that probably you have some lesson plans and some papers to grade, so we're going to excuse you for that, but let's take one nice picture together, and I want to say a big thank you to all your families. I know how much it takes. It's a family commitment, and we want to say thank you for the people watching at home for sharing them with us. They are truly an impressive group, and we're very proud of the work that they have done. So let's take a picture together. At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Bixhorn to give us a presentation about the mathematics department. And to my teachers, have a wonderful night. Jack, don't take it personally. There you go. There you go, Jack.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jack Bixhorn. I know I've met some of you and haven't met some others, so it's really nice to be here tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me to present about the math department and give you some updates about some of the great things that are happening in mathematics in Oyster Bay. Briefly, I just want to give you an idea of the topics we're going to be speaking of. One of the main things is how the next generation learning standards are going to be implemented here in Oyster Bay as the state has changed our math standards again. I'm going to speak a lot about the technology integration that's happening in math to enhance student learning. Over the past year, I think we've made a lot of progress in that area. And I wanted to kind of share some of the success stories and extracurricular activities that are happening with math in Oyster Bay. The first slide, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, is guidance from the New York State Education Department about the timeline for implementing the next generation learning standards. I think it's important to not only focus on the instruction itself, but the assessment, because as we know, the grades 3 through 8 and Regents exam assessments are going to be changing, and they're going to be updated to the next generation learning standards. So currently, we are in that phase 2, which is build capacity, and I'm going to speak about all the things that we've done and plan on doing over the next year to make sure all our students are fully prepared for those new assessments. And those assessments begin the 2022-23 school year in grades 3 through 8, and then the high school Regents exams come after that. So as we prepare, there's quite a few things we've done. The next generation learning standards are now going to be they're taking over for the Common Core standards. They're not a crazy drastic difference, but there are some minor changes and revisions, and some standards have moved and been added to different grades. So one thing that's already happened that will be happening more is every teacher at every grade level that teaches math has reviewed the snapshot, which basically tells them which standards are going to be new to their grade and which standards are going to be leaving, and gives them instructional considerations. So we're already having conversations about what it's going to look like once we begin fully implementing those standards. Additionally, we are making sure that we're aligning our math vocabulary instruction, which is very important, K to 12, through guidance from New York State, so that we have a common language and we have vertical alignment in terms of math instruction for vocabulary. We also have been utilizing some guidance from New York State that has to do with scaffolding instruction to support all our learners. That's been a major focus in giving all students an entry point to math, helping support some students that are having difficulties, and really building scaffolds that aren't, differentiating the instruction or changing the objective, but just giving students ways to learn. The example I wanted to provide you is from a 7th grade math class, which is an example of guided notes, a nice scaffold that helps students organize, helps students be able to look back at their notes and know what the objective was, and also doesn't require a student to write down every single word. So it does give them some supports to help them, and it also is a great resource to study when they prepare for an upcoming exam. This is something we're doing in the middle school now, and we plan on using scaffolded notes, guided notes throughout all grade levels. When you hear the next generation learning standards, I wanted you guys to see what it looks like, and I also wanted to let you know that the 8 mathematical practices, which is from the Common Core standards, still remain. And they really are a focal point of good math instruction, and they're kind of the goals of what we want to see our students, the skills we want our students to have moving forward. So we're still focusing a lot of our instruction on those standards. What's really nice about the next generation standards is at the very bottom there, and I know it's very small, they connect each standard to the mathematical practices to help us better align our instruction. Another really nice feature of the next generation standards is there's a coherence link. So if you're a 3rd grade teacher and you see the standard you're supposed to be teaching, it shows you the prerequisite standard that they should have learned in 2nd grade, as well as the standard that they're going to be using in 4th grade that builds upon the current grade level standard. So this really helps us not only pinpoint, how to support a student that might be struggling with that foundational skill, but an advanced student, it might give us an opportunity to make sure that they're already where they need to be for the following year. So that's really going to help us when we, ensure instruction for all students. In terms of curriculum writing, this past summer, We spent a lot of time in the middle level with a goal of trying to prepare all students for Algebra 1 in 8th grade. And we used the scaffolds from the guidance to really focus on academic vocabulary for math specific to algebra. So there was a really nice curriculum writing team that did a lot of good work in preparing students with the vocabulary they need to be successful in Algebra 1. Additionally, there was teams of elementary teachers and myself, and we sat down and we used a guidance document from Achieve the Core to really understand the most emphasized and prioritized standards in each grade level. This helped not only plan in case of school closure, we just wanted to make sure that we focused all our instruction on the prioritized standards first, and we just reviewed our scope and sequence to make sure that we were covering and spending adequate time at the most emphasized standards. For this summer, we do plan on doing some more work in terms of creating more scaffolds for our lab classes. That's one of our focuses in the high school. Specifically for Regents level courses, we want to make sure that the labs are scaffolded and we're using technology to really enhance that instruction in a way to make sure all students are prepared for the Regents exams. As we look forward to the future, we really just want to emphasize on making sure our instruction is completely aligned to those next generation standards. So I think it's good that we're starting this summer a little bit with just introducing the topics, but moving forward, we are going to make sure that every single topic in every grade level perfectly aligns to the new standards and that all our instruction also aligns with the assessments that go with those standards. I was doing my own research on the next generation standards, and that specific quote that I highlighted really stood out to me because I truly believe it aligns with good math instruction and it aligns with our Board of Education goal of providing excellence in every classroom. So as obviously the world is changing and we think about the skills we want to instill in our students and we think about those 21st century mathematics skills, that's where we want to focus on. We want to focus on the reasoning, the collaboration, using technology, allowing students to have conversations and learn from each other. And the word dynamic learning environment really kind of stood out to me. So as I think about our plan moving forward, those are some of the words that I like to use when I'm talking to teachers and what I'm looking for when I'm seeing students learn math. I also like that idea of not having one solution and thinking about just using math skills to solve real-world problems. I found that's a great way that students stay engaged. I did find 3 examples that were from a 6th grade classroom that I think are great ways to get students talking and all students get interested in these types of activities in terms of like a which one doesn't belong or a would you rather or how many ways could you make this true. All students get interested in it. Sometimes there's not one correct answer, so everybody feels like they can participate in the conversation, and it really leads to that good mathematical discourse. So those are some of the things that I see in the elementary grades that have really been successful. Another really excellent activity happened in geometry honors this year, and I thought it aligned really well to everything we're speaking about. The students were given a task to find the angle of elevation, and the only thing they could use was a ruler to measure their own height and measure the height of their shadow. And there really wasn't much guidance, but they did work in teams and they collaborated and they were able to find the angle of elevation. It was particularly interesting because it happened at different periods throughout the day, so the angle of elevation wasn't a constant. But what was really neat was the culminating activity where they actually found the height of the flagpole without necessarily having the tools to measure the flagpole using trigonometry. Just a really good example of students collaborating, working together, solving a real-world task, and having fun in the math classroom. This next slide actually contains a video from Miss Loring's 6th grade class. It's really interesting how the students actually used data they collected from their peers to address a misconception amongst all of Vernon. So I'd like to just share a part of that now, please.
One person might say that the square doesn't belong. Someone else might say the small one. Another person might say the blue one. Someone else might say the one with a different border. Who's correct? Sometimes in mathematics, there isn't just one correct answer. Other times, there isn't a correct answer at all. What do mathematicians do when one of these situations appears? Here's a question for you. What is 7 divided by 0? Write down your answer on a piece of scrap paper and we'll come back to it later.
Let's look at division as repeated subtraction. Here's the problem. There are 10 inches of snow on the ground. If 2 inches melt each day, how long until all the snow is melted? Repeated subtraction is another way to visualize division. You can clearly see that we subtract 2 5 times. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so it will take 5 days for all the snow to melt. Now let's look at it with 0. There are 10 inches of snow on the ground. If 0 inches melt each day, how long until all the snow is melted? This problem should work like the last one, but wait. 10 minus 0 is 10. 10 minus 0 again is 10. And 10 minus 0 is still 10. How many times do I have to subtract 0 until all the snow is gone? The snow is not melted. So what is 10 divided by 0?
Earlier, we asked you to write down an answer to 7 divided by 0. What's your answer now? You're not alone in struggling to answer. In March of 2021, 62 Vernon 3rd and 6th graders answered this exact question. What is 7 divided by 0? 52 people incorrectly said 0. 8 said 7, and 1 said 1. Only one person answered correctly that you can't divide by 0. There is no answer. Mathematicians call this undefined. How can you divide something into groups of 0? How can you divide it into 0 groups? The answer is, you can't. Thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about dividing by 0, keep an eye on
All right, we can move on to the next slide, but I just thought that was really interesting how they use multiple representations and they gathered data from their classmates, and there was a lot more to that, but I didn't want to show you too much, but they showed all different representations of division and why it just was impossible to answer the question. Okay. Got it. So obviously when I started the job, I got it in March. We started in March of last year, and since then there has been no standardized tests due to everything that's been going on. So for the math department, we have used some of our own measures of data just to get an idea of how well students are doing and to inform our own instruction moving forward. One thing we did in all grades that would have taken a state test the previous year is in the beginning of this year, we gave a gap analysis report that was provided to us through BOCES. And it kind of mirrored the state assessment from the previous year to get a better understanding of how well the students understood those standards. And we did use that information throughout this year to review some of the standards that we feel like that may have been lost or students might not have mastered because of the strange end to the previous school year. High school teachers have worked really diligently at using gap reports, which basically you look at any Regents exam or state assessment over the past 4 years, and they look for trends on the questions that Oyster Bay students are doing really well on compared to regional schools, as well as the questions that we're struggling with. We did identify specific clusters, and we kind of examined our curriculum and those question types from the Regents exams to really make sure we're covering those things and filling those gaps. So that's been one of our goals this year that high school teachers have been working on. For elementary, we have found a new report through one of our new technology programs called IXL that really provides a detailed diagnostic of how well students are doing in math. And we've used this as one of our data points to identify which students might benefit from additional support or some intervention or tiered instruction. And additionally, at the high school level, we did give benchmarks after the first 2 quarters to really just get a better understanding of how well the students were learning, especially because some students were in the hybrid models. In 7th and 8th grade, they were more in person, and we just wanted to see how well they were doing. We used the gap analysis in teacher teams to identify the areas of concern and the areas of strength. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but these are just some of the current technology programs that are being utilized in mathematics throughout our entire district. I will highlight a few in the following slides with some screenshots. I also was thrilled to get some pilots going this year because of the unique circumstances. A lot of teachers were willing to try new things, specifically the elementary grades. And we've had a tremendous amount of success with Reflex Math, which is a fact fluency program. Many students have gained have made significant gains in their fact fluency for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We have tried some various assessments to see how well the detailed reports are, and we've tried some personalized learning programs that are more game-based to meet kids exactly where they're at. This attached diagnostic report is from IXL, which I spoke about a little bit earlier, and I wanted you guys to be able to see how there is an overall math level, and then there is also a score for all 6 clusters of elementary math. And then there's also an action plan that goes with that provides the teachers or the students with the skills exactly on their level that they're ready to learn in each cluster. So if there's a specific cluster they're having trouble with, they might be in a 2nd or 3rd grade level, and they could be ahead of grade level in a different cluster. But this is really just something for us to see exactly how well the students are doing, their areas of strength, areas where they might need extra support, and a specific plan of topics that they can learn through the program. Go Formative has been a program we've had a tremendous amount of success with as well, and this year we bought the paid version for Go Math for the high school math department. Go Formative for the high school math department. One of the great things about this is as the students are answering a problem in real time, the teacher can see it and they can provide feedback immediately by typing or by writing on the screen, so they can address a misconception almost immediately. You do get a detailed report that not only tells you if the students got the question right, but it even brings up commonly wrong answers, so you can see the mistakes they were making if it was a trend and address that specifically. And it's also been great for just quizzes because it has some more safety features than some of the other programs. Another program that we purchased last year specifically for AP Calculus is Delta Math. This is one of the few programs that truly aligns to the AP Calculus curriculum and assessment. It also is nice because it provides help videos and hints, and the students know immediately if they got the question right or wrong if they were to use this for homework or extra practice. Another program that I really enjoy when I was working with the Vernon Math Club, and I know a lot of teachers have experimented with, is called Desmos. It's an interactive program, has a lot of learning activities after you teach a lesson for students, and I took this screenshot because I thought this was one of the coolest lessons I've ever witnessed. It basically brings a very basic distance and time graph, but it shows it as a video form, and the students can manipulate the lines to see how fast the animals travel. And it really was a great way for them to see what the points on the line truly represent. So this is something that I think a lot of teachers are going to be using moving forward to help reinforce. Also, next year we are going to have 3 new math elective courses offered at the high school. These are all trial courses. SAT Math Prep is going to be designed to help students reach their maximum potential on the SATs specifically for math. It's going to be an every other day elective course. Introduction to Statistics is going to be a course where we're really going to try to get students to learn more about the everyday use of statistics, as well as some of the jobs that require statistical analysis. It's definitely something that seems to be required and is becoming more and more popular, as well as we're hoping it could be a class that would get a student that's hesitant to take AP Statistics to learn a little bit about statistics first and then take it the following year as a course to build more students taking AP Stat. And lastly is Financial Math, which would be specifically for juniors and seniors to really get them with the personal finance instruction to make them be successful after high school for their college or career in terms of budgeting, taxes, and some other skills you just need in everyday life. I'm really proud of some of the extracurricular activities we had this year. I inherited the kindergarten math night, and I wasn't sure how to make that possible when I first heard about it with all the things going on, and we were fortunate enough to make it virtual this year through a website that helped us, and it was incredibly successful. We had over 150 participants with mostly positive feedback. There was 5 stations that the students actually worked on with their families at home, and that picture there, it's a little hard to see, but those are students with their origami. And I think they just had a great time, and a lot of the families were really happy to just do math and spend time with their kids. So we got to keep that tradition alive. In terms of other extracurriculars, this was the first year we had 2 high school teams compete in the M3 Mathematics Modeling Challenge, which was a national competition. I was fortunate enough to be their supervisor, and I got to sit there and watch them work diligently for 14 hours with very minimal breaks to complete this problem. In the next slide, which is the final slide, I'm going to share a reflection from one of the seniors about the experience, but it was really a great experience for everybody. High school students also created a new tutoring system through the Mu Alpha Theta Honor Society, where they're providing homework support for students at Vernon and TR. So they're kind of giving back to the community, and it's also nice because they get to work with teachers that they had when they were in elementary school and kind of maintain those relationships. And then in terms of middle and high school math, we still are doing the mathletes and entering quite a few local competitions, including the AMC, the Perennial Math League, and the Continental Math League. And in 6th grade at Vernon, we had a couple of students that did place in the Continental Math League, which was exciting. So I'm going to end it with a reflection from one of our seniors who spent 14 hours working on the M3 Math Challenge.
So recently I had the opportunity to take part in the M3 mathematics competition, and typically this contest has a real world problem that a group of 5 members have about 12 hours to solve. 14 hours. And it was definitely a very long feat, but I'd say overall our group definitely enjoyed the process and figuring out different ways in solving the problem. So the problem this year was about internet bandwidth, which is so practical for today because I'm sure a majority of you are watching this through the computer screen right now because of the pandemic. So internet is definitely a very prevalent issue and it affects us every day. So the first problem was about, they gave us 2 different cities in the United States and the United Kingdom. They asked us to kind of predict in these regions what's going to be the cost of internet, of like cellular data within 20 years. So we were able to generate linear regressions to kind of predict and project what these costs would be. This contest, like I said, is a really great application of real world, like math to real world. So for linear regressions, we learned that throughout every year of mathematics. Regressions are very important for statistics, algebra 2, and a variety of other courses. And then it was kind of funny, like I said, for chi-squared, we used AP Bio.
All right. So it's a little mumbled there, but it was about cellular usage in the next 20 years. They made a model to project the cost and compared it with different types of families. So it was an interesting project, and they did a great job. Thank you so much for having me present, and I'd like to answer any questions.
The 2 new courses that I find really interesting is the Intro to Statistics and the Financial course. Will you be doing a lot of data analysis in those Intro to Statistics courses?
Absolutely. We're really trying to make the statistics class, as Ms. Broyne, as hands-on as possible. So we are going to be trying to get data from the real world and do a lot of statistical and data analysis and really try to tie that into careers that might involve similar data skills.
Oh, that's great.
Well, does that involve college credit at all?
Yeah, it's
an
NCAA
AP?
approved.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you introduce interesting new classes like that, how do you market them so the students are aware? How do they know there are new classes?
So this year I shared it with the guidance department and encouraged them, as well as shared it with the math teaching department, and had basically all the teachers try to sell it, quote unquote, to their students. I think with like COVID guidelines, I didn't push into particular classes, but I had the teachers do it. And I'm hoping that it does kind of build with word of mouth by good experiences coming out of it, because I think when they hear the word elective in math, some students might think, that's not a class I want to take an elective in. But if they kind of see the results and they see the benefits of it, I do think that there'd be more kids interested in doing it moving forward.
Will all 3 of those classes be offered in September?
Yes.
Oh, great. And are they full year or?
So the SAT math is going to be every other day.
Okay,
And the other 2 are full year classes, yes.
great, thank you.
Any other questions? That was great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to move on to the business and facilities report?
Is the video on or no? Video on? The video's on? Emma? Okay. Okay. So this is the final presentation, and this is the budget hearing presentation that we have. Believe it or not, 4 months, pretty much 3 months, 4 months have gone by since we started this presentation and looking at the budget, and this is the final one. Basically, it's the same presentation that we had in the past, so I'm going to go quickly and then maybe answer any question that the board may have. The vision has been the same, and that I think has been a good change in terms of how we presented the budget, staying focused on the on the mission of and the vision of empowering all students to achieve excellence and make sure that we provide the students with the support that they need. And that has been the driving force from the beginning. To promote the district goals, they are developed by the Board of Education, and to meet, to create a budget that will meet the needs of all students. And that has been tough this year, but I think the board should be very proud of the support that we're giving to the students. And then if they could tell you that, they would probably say the same thing. The focus has been consistent from the beginning in terms of stay within the tax cap, preserve all the instructional program, and try to anticipate any expense that related to COVID, build some expense in, but also anticipate some of the state aid reduction that could have potentially come, but in the future, that could come in the future. And also the idea of looking at the reserves and make sure that we have that we keep an eye on those reserves, so when we need to tap into it, we will have enough funding. In terms of the points of pride, that has been something that we've been sharing. Prides all across academic, on the music and fine arts, in the athletics, and you see some of the work done. And the first one, you see that the reduced class size guidelines. You look at a class size, visiting our classrooms, you see the number of students that we have, and that's really the commitment that the board has put in place to maintain those class size, those classrooms at a low level. Now with the pandemic, but also in general. You're looking at the string program, has been extremely successful. Tonight the board will appoint a full-time Mandarin teacher. Those are all important steps that the board has been taking over the years, but now we can start seeing some of the amazing results from at the national level and also at the state level, and I think we should be very proud. I had an opportunity to present what Ms. Santos the other day at the Senior Center, and it was quite impressive to see how proud those citizens were to see how well the school is doing and how well the students are doing, and the accolades that we receive every single day, that they receive every single day. So it was a very, very nice day to show them how we invest their tax dollars. In terms of the budget details, the main one is to maintain all the instructional programs that we have, so that obviously has been a rollover or the budget that we had. We predicted a COVID expense, and also the full-time Mandarin teacher last year, there was a 0.6 included into the budget, so we added the additional 0.4 to make a full-time, and some ground equipment maintenance that in order to maintain the equipment that we have. So when you look at the summary of the budget, the total revenue of the revenue of $6,993,443 and the tax levy of $54,416 equal to the amount of expense, which is a $61,409. And we have shown this equation, we have shown this graph multiple times, but it's a quite simple process. You're looking at the revenue, looking at the expense, and you're trying to match the two. When you look at the revenue, we are fortunate, and I'm fortunate to have that kind of state aid. So when the state aid impacts us, we don't have that much of an impact, but it's still 5.3 is fairly low. You have other revenues of 6.1%, and the bulk of the revenue comes from the tax levy, which is about 88.6%. So when you look at the levy, we are at the maximum allowable tax levy, which is a 1.4. In previous presentations, and all this presentation have been posted online, you see that the calculation is pretty straightforward, dictated by some variables that we have almost no control. Tax growth factor, CPI, previous levy. So it's been, it's a straightforward calculation to calculate that 1.4. This is a summary of the analysis of the revenue. So in terms of state aid, we had a little bit of an increase, but still a deficit of 89,000. We had the reserves 350. Last year we used 350, and now we're using 400. And the fund balance we increased a little bit. So overall, you see that the levy, tax levy, of 54,416,060, with that difference between last year and this year. And you see that the budget, you see a 1.1 increase. When you look at the revenue that comes from non-tax levy, like we said before, 6 million and 9 and 54. Altogether, we have that 61 million budget that we are presenting to the board. In terms of the expense, we have kind of analyzed the expense line by line. The board had an opportunity to review the budget line by line. And this slide really tells all, because when you look at salary and wages and you're looking at contractual obligation that we have, that drives the bulk of our discussion. And sometimes when you think about a $60 million budget, you think that there is so much that we can do, but we are very limited in the flexibility that we have. And that's why we work very hard when we go to the negotiation table. We work very hard with our legislators, with our senators, to make sure that we create those opportunities that are necessary for us to present to the community a budget that is fiscally responsible and that has all the necessary ingredients for the students to be successful. The difference last year, this year, 1.1 to 1.42. And we had some capital projects that we're proposing. The community will see on the ballots. So the first one is using the capital reserve. Again, this is resources that were accumulated over the years. So this is a no tax increase. So we're proposing a use of up to $250,000. At the high school, we have a renovation of windows, maintenance of windows, and plaster and ceiling and walls. Think about the high school was built in 1929. There's always a little bit of maintenance that needs to be done. And then at Theodore Roosevelt and James Vernon, we have case work probably done, and also hot water heater at Roosevelt. We also, this is an amount that is, we are asking the community, we're proposing to spend up to that amount, but that's not necessarily the amount that we need to spend. So, for example, if we receive a grant from a legislator or a senator, obviously we will not be using that amount, and that amount will stay where it is. In terms of technology project, we're very proud of our students and the work that they're doing. They are one-to-one, and I want to thank Dr. Mulhall for all the work done over the years to make sure that the pandemic didn't really impact our learning. Distance learning is not perfect. But I think that when you have a one-to-one device assigned to every single one and assign internet connection assigned to students, I mean, that's a testament of all the work that Dr. Mahal and the entire curriculum department has done over the years. So here would be just a kind of refreshing of all the items that we have for the amount to be spent up to $225. And again, that's coming from reserve and no cost to the taxpayers. So the overall budget, if I have to quickly summarize, is tax levy of 1.4, which is the amount, the allowable tax levy, 1.4. We keep all the instructional program. We're very excited to appoint tonight a Mandarin teacher and a little bit of upgrade on the ground equipment. Some historic information, the community has supported the budget over the years, and again, this is the data. We'll put the presentation online, will show has been pretty consistent. If you look at last year, the number of voters were a little higher because it was done, remember, during the pandemic, but overall, the community has been very supportive. Voter information, those are the prepositions that we see on the ballot. There is I believe, a budget newsletter. Mr. Cipriani, should be in the mail Wednesday?
Should be on
Wednesday. So all that information is there. We are here all the time, so please pick up the phone, call me. I've been deeply involved with the budget this year, and I'll be more than happy to answer any question if you have any question or concern. The budget vote is on, you can register, but the budget vote is on May 18th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the beautiful high school chorus room, which would be a great opportunity for the community to see that work that the board has completed a few years ago. It's a magnificent place, so it would be nice to have the community see it. And hopefully everybody will come out and vote, and that's on May 18th, 2021. I don't know if the board has any questions about the budget, the overall process, and where we are today. Yeah. So the community can request an absentee ballot. The application is online on the website. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to call me or email our district clerk, Miss Dolan, Darlene Dolan. I believe we have the email, we have the phone number on the presentation, and the presentation will be online. Thank you, Darlene.
Okay,
thank
you,
you.
Dr. Yanni. So let's move on to personnel actions. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the following professional personnel and civil service personnel resolutions as listed.
So moved.
Okay, that goes on to, thank you, page 5. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussions?
I had a question, Ms. Kowalski.
Sure.
What is a mentor coordinator?
That is the teacher who coordinates the mentor program, which is required by law for first-year teachers.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to special services. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the following special services resolutions as listed. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the following new business resolution as listed.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I think that concludes our meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you, Dr. Yanni, for that great budget presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.